Chapter 987. This time, there was also a young couple who met at the singles party and got married. The girls started complaining as soon as they reached the foot of the mountain. "Oh my God! It's so high. Do we really have to climb up on foot? I feel like I'll die of exhaustion halfway." "It's okay. If you can't, I'll carry you. Hubby is the best." Lu Tingxiao glanced at the girl next to him as he listened to the conversation between the young couple. "Sleepy?" She pouted. "It's all your fault." She had made little Bun unhappy last night and had to coax her the whole night. She had to wake up early this morning and hadn't slept for more than a few hours. Lu Tingxiao understood what She meant, but it didn't sound the same to the others. Suddenly, everyone's imagination went wild and they started making up stories. They really fought at the head of the bed and reconciled at the end. Did they do it the whole night? Seeing the girl yawning, Lu Tingxiao walked in front of her and squatted down. "Come here." "Why?" She was puzzled. Lu Tingxiao said, "Come up and continue sleeping." "Really?" She's eyes lit up. His broad back made her even more sleepy. She was afraid that he would regret it and jump up. Lu Tingxiao adjusted his posture slightly, and then began to carry She up. Everyone at the side, as well as the couple in the flash marriage, "Fuck. We're already married but we still lose to them. Is there any justice in this world?" He was prepared to carry his wife when she was tired, but Lu Tingxiao was already on his back before he even started climbing. Talk about showing off. "I only admire Brother Xiao. Ha ha ha. If you told me this in the past, I wouldn't have believed that Lu Tingxiao would have such a side to him. But now I'm numb to it." Before they knew it, they were halfway up and She had fallen asleep on Lu Tingxiao's back. Lu Tingxiao's footsteps were steady and he didn't show any signs of fatigue even after climbing for so long. The few people who were panting behind him couldn't help but sigh. President Lu's stamina was too good. Everyone chatted as they climbed the mountain. The atmosphere was quite pleasant, but a few girls who were close to Guanxiao, including Lu Xinyan, couldn't stand it. Lu Xinyan caught up to Lu Tingxiao, panting. She couldn't stand it anymore and said, "Brother, there's still a long way to go." How much longer was she going to sleep? "Do you want to die of exhaustion?" On his back, She frowned slightly because of the noise. Lu Tingxiao looked at her coldly. "Be quiet." Lu Xinyan was infuriated. Behind them, Guanxiao could only watch as Lu Tingxiao and She were still in love with each other. There was no estrangement between them, and the suspicion in her heart grew stronger and stronger. In the evening, the group finally arrived at the top of the mountain. After a short break, everyone started to set up the tents. At this moment, Guanxiao couldn't hold it in any longer. She walked over to Lu Tingxiao and asked, "Tingxiao, can I talk to you?" Lu Tingxiao took a look at She who was fiddling with the tent. She was focused on setting up the tent, so she waved her hand casually, indicating that they could go ahead and talk. It must have been hard for Guanxiao to hold it in for so long. Seeing that She didn't seem to care at all and didn't see her as a threat, Guanxiao felt a stab in her heart. Lu Tingxiao even knew about their affair. Where did this woman get her confidence from? After the two of them walked away, Guanxiao looked at the man in front of her and asked anxiously, "Tingxiao, did you see the message and photo I sent you last night?" "Yeah." Although Lu Tingxiao was talking to Guanxiao, his eyes were on the girl who was busy setting up the tent not far away. "Did you see She with that man?" Guanxiao confirmed with him again. "Yes." Lu Tingxiao still looked indifferent. If he saw it, why would he react like this? Guanxiao took a deep breath and asked for the last time, Don't you have any thoughts?" Lu Tingxiao said, "Well taken, thank you." Chapter 988. It was a good photo. "Thank you." For a moment, Guanxia almost thought that there was something wrong with her. Or was there something wrong with Lu Tingxiao? Would a normal man have such a strange reaction after seeing an ambiguous photo of his girlfriend with another man? Guanxiao took a deep breath, calmed herself down, and asked with concern, "Tingxiao, does that woman have something on you?" Otherwise, she really couldn't think of any other reason why Lu Tingxiao would continue to be with that woman in the face of such a thing. "No." Lu Tingxiao answered in a firm tone, and there was nothing unusual on his face. Then why? Guan Ziao felt that she couldn't understand the man in front of her at all. The man in the photo is me, Lu Tingxiao said. What? What did you say? Guan Ziao froze for a few seconds before she came to her senses. She said quickly, the man in the photo is Ku Mingyu, the male actor who acted with Ningxi in the film. How could it be you? Was the photo I sent you swapped? Just when Guan Ziao was trying to find an excuse for herself, Lu Tingxiao interrupted her. Ku Mingyu is me, but with a different face. Lu Tingxiao said it casually, but Guan Ziao felt as if she had been struck by lightning. She was dumbfounded. It's you. You mean? Ku Mingyu is you? Her career requires that we can't be in a public relationship, so we don't spend much time together, so I used this method to accompany her. It was rare for Lu Tingxiao to explain so much, but every word exploded in her mind like a heavy bomb. Any other questions? Lu Tingxiao asked. Guan Ziao shook her head with a pale face. The question was, what other questions could she have? No matter how much she thought about it, she would never have expected that the so-called adulterer Ning she was having an affair with was Lu Tingxiao himself. Just to be able to accompany that woman, such a cold and arrogant man actually did not hesitate to change his appearance to accompany her to act. She had thought about it for a long time. She didn't want to hurt his self-esteem, she wanted to ask him out to climb the mountain to comfort him, and she thought that he should see the woman's true colors this time. In the end, a single sentence from Lu Tingxiao had thrown her into a bottomless abyss. She was just a ridiculous clown from the beginning. If that's the case, I'll say a few words. After a moment of silence, Lu Tingxiao took the initiative to speak. What do you want to say? Are you saying that I'm despicably trying to sow discord? But I didn't know it was you. I'm really worried that you've been deceived. Guan Ziao said emotionally. Lu Tingxiao interrupted her. His cold gaze seemed to pierce through her heart. Ziao, there are some things that I won't say because you are a smart person. I believe that you will understand. Guan Ziao bit her lips. Stop it. I don't want to hear it. However, Lu Tingxiao was determined not to let her avoid it. His tone was emotionless as he said word by word, Ziao, it's impossible for me to be with you. Whether it's in the past or now, I only have feelings for you as a friend, nothing else. Even without Ningxi, I wouldn't have chosen you. I hope you don't continue to waste time on me. Guan Ziao didn't expect that Lu Tingxiao would say such direct and hurtful words. Her whole body was trembling. Lu Tingxiao, you're so cruel. Chapter 989. I still treat you as a friend, and that's why I'm saying all this. This can also be considered as giving face to Ling Tian, and I'm giving you a final warning. Regardless of whether it's you or your father, please stop what you shouldn't be doing. If not, you'll know what true ruthlessness is the next time. That's all. Lu Tingxiao said and turned to leave. The moment Lu Tingxiao turned to leave, Guan Ziao knelt down on the ground weakly, her whole body soaked in cold sweat. Yes, she knew. How could she be so stupid that she didn't even notice it? But she didn't want to believe or accept it, until Lu Tingxiao tore apart her self-deception and put the bloody truth in front of her. Lu Tingxiao. Lu Tingxiao. How could you do this to me? Guan Ziao cried uncontrollably. Behind a big tree a few steps away from Guan Ziao, Mo Lingtian was quietly leaning against the tree. He wanted to go out to comfort her, but he restrained himself. His appearance at this time would only make her more embarrassed. Although he knew he shouldn't eavesdrop, when he saw Lu Tingxiao and Ziao talking alone, he couldn't help following them. He didn't expect to hear this. Judging from their conversation just now, it was Ziao or her father who investigated Ningxi without authorization and secretly took photos of her cheating. He wondered why Ziao was so sure that they would break up this time. It turned out to be like this. However, the final result shocked even him, who was eavesdropping. Lu Tingxiao was really indescribable. How could he spoil that woman to such an extent? As for Lu Tingxiao's extremely cruel and even hurtful words, looking at Guan Ziao's painful and desperate expression, although he felt sorry for her, he clearly knew that Lu Tingxiao's approach was the best for her. He also knew that this time, Lu Tingxiao really didn't blame them for secretly investigating Ningxi for his sake. If Ziao continued to be stubborn this time, then, But, would she? She was such a smart and proud woman. Since Lu Tingxiao's words had come to this point, would she still be unwilling to let go? Mo Lingtian's heart was tangled with anxiety and a trace of selfish hope at the same time. If Xiao could completely give up this time, then he would have a chance, right? She just put up the last stent and saw Lu Tingxiao coming back from afar. You're back. Yes. Look at the tent I set up. Isn't it great? It's very sturdy, I'm telling you. She patted the tent she had set up by herself with a sense of accomplishment. Looking at the girl's carefree look, Lu Tingxiao's face darkened. Aren't you worried at all? You are hard to please. I trust you. Why are you angry? She was speechless. Lu Tingxiao of a sigh. Well, he couldn't win. I've already made it clear to her. Since his wife didn't ask, Lu Tingxiao had to explain himself to show his loyalty. Looking at Lu Tingxiao's expressionless face asking for praise, she almost couldn't hold back her laughter. She tiptoed and took the initiative to kiss him on the lips. Good boy tilde, I'll give you a kiss tilde Lu and Lu of Ning, Tang, of re all, Lu, I Tingxiao and Will are Ning one tent. While they were one tent, Ning Ti. Mo Lingtian was the most miserable one. Because there was an odd number of people, one of them would definitely be left alone. Mo Lingtian had a bad temper. Besides, everyone noticed that he was in a bad mood today, so no one was willing to share a tent with him. So, they all slept alone. Obviously, many people would have insomnia tonight. Chapter 990. The ceiling of the tent was transparent and they could see the stars in the sky. Because of the high altitude, the starry sky was especially beautiful. She lay beside Lu Tingxiao, looked up at the sky full of stars and murmured, "Twinkle, twinkle, the sky is full of Xiaobao. Alas, I miss Xiaobao." She could even think of Xiaobao when she looked at the stars. Lu Tingxiao said, "Don't think of other men in my arms." She's mouth twitched. "What other men? That's our son, okay?" Lu Tingxiao said, "Not even our son." She was speechless. "Damn it. Do you think I will dare to give birth to your child? My poor baby will be despised by you." Lu Tingxiao suddenly turned over and stared at her, his eyes brighter than the stars in the sky. "I won't despise having a baby." She coughed lightly. Calm down, calm down. I was just saying, okay?" Lu Tingxiao and she were chatting wildly, talking about giving birth to a boy and a girl, when suddenly there was a strange sound coming from the tent next door. It sounded like a girl crying. Is someone crying? She curiously tilted her ears. "No." Lu Tingxiao said expressionlessly. "No. But I heard it clearly." As she spoke, the sound next door became clearer. Don't, it hurts, be gentle." She, with the increasingly fierce sound next door, she understood what they were doing even if she was stupid. The newlyweds were sleeping in the tent next door. The couple showed off their love during the day but was defeated by Lu Tingxiao and Shi. At night, they decided to make a big move. Honey, why is there no sound from Lu Tingxiao's side? Is he too tired from climbing the mountain during the day? But Lu Tingxiao is so strong. It's impossible. You little devil. How dare you praise another man's strength when you're under me? Ah, be gentle, you're so annoying. The couple's voice became louder and louder. Almost all the people in the other tents heard it. However, they were newlyweds, so it was understandable that they couldn't control themselves. The group of single dogs could only endure silently in the middle of the night. Of course, there were also those who were unwilling to tolerate it. Fuck. Zhao Haisheng, fuck you. Keep your voice down. Mo Lingtian let out an angry roar like a single dog from inside the tent. When the people in the other tents heard this roar, they all snickered. At the same time, they thought to themselves, it seems that the winner has been decided. Originally, he thought that he would hear the live version of Master Xiao and his little bunny tonight. He did not expect Zhao Haisheng and his wife to completely steal the limelight. He finally won. However, Lu Tingxiao didn't move at all. Was he really exhausted from carrying his wife today? Just as everyone was thinking this, in the next second, they suddenly heard a boom. Everyone was so scared that they crawled out of their tents. Then they saw, the tent where Lu Tingxiao and Ning Shi were, collapsed. Fuck. Even the tent had collapsed. How intense was this? Master Xiao was indeed someone who did big things quietly. A moment later, Lu Tingxiao's face was as black as the bottom of a pot as he protected Ning Shi and crawled out from under the tent. He stared at the little girl who pointed at him guiltily. Is this the tent you set up very firmly? Chapter 991. Ning Shi gave a hollow laugh. It doesn't make sense. Did I miss some parts? Just as she was muttering to herself in confusion, she suddenly realized that everyone had come out. They were all looking at her and Lu Tingxiao with meaningful expressions. Even the couple next door looked like they were willing to concede defeat. Realizing what these people were imagining, Ning Shi was speechless. Can't one or two be a little more pure? This time, Lu Tingxiao didn't let her do it and set up the tent himself. Not far away, Guan Ziao stared blankly at the two of them, an unprecedented hatred surging in her body. In the early hours of the morning, before dawn, Ning Shi was suddenly awakened by a loud noise outside. Lu Tingxiao, what's going on outside? Ning Shi rubbed her eyes and got up, opening the tent door a little. Then she saw Lu Xinyan looking for her anxiously from tent to tent. Hearing Lu Xinyan's noise, everyone got up. What's going on? Lu Xinyan was relieved to see Lu Tingxiao. She ran over and said with tears in her eyes, "Brother, Sister Xiao is missing." "What do you mean missing?" Mo Lingtian came over in a hurry and grabbed Lu Xinyan's arm excitedly. Lu Xinyan explained anxiously, "When I woke up, Sister Xiao was not in the tent. I thought she went to the toilet, so I didn't pay much attention. But she didn't come back, and I couldn't get through to her. I just went out to look for her, but I couldn't find her. That's why I'm so anxious. Could something have happened to Sister Xiao?" Mo Lingtian picked up his cell phone and dialed a number, but the phone was turned off. Thinking of what happened last night, he couldn't help but look more and more gloomy. She should be fine. I heard that there are no beasts in this scenic area. What if something happened to Sister Xiao? Lu Xinyan said as she stared at Ning Shi angrily. "Is Xiao's luggage here?" Someone next to her asked. Lu Xinyan nodded. "Yes. So it's impossible that she went back alone. Even if she wanted to go back, she must have told me. Moreover, Sister Xiao's condition has been very strange since last night. I'm really afraid that something might have happened to her." Mo Lingtian said angrily, "What are you waiting for? Let's split up and look for him." Damn it. If he had known this would happen, he would have shamelessly appeared to comfort her last night. In the end, she let her imagination run wild. If something really happened, Lu Tingxiao's words last night were really hurtful. No matter how strong Zi Yarrow was, she was still a girl. Ning Shi went into the tent and got dressed. Is Guan Ziao really going to take things too hard? By the way, what did you say to her yesterday? Lu Tingxiao took a look at her and repeated to Ning Shi what he said to Guan Ziao at that time. Ning Shi coughed lightly and said, "You are indeed ruthless." Lu Tingxiao, you also think it's too harsh? Ning Shi smiled. I'm not that kind of saint to pity my love rival. Let's go and find him. Guan Ziao knew that she and Lu Tingxiao were already boyfriend and girlfriend, but she still tried to come between them. There was nothing wrong with what Lu Tingxiao said. On the contrary, if Lu Tingxiao's words had any leeway, he would have been really irresponsible to the three of them. Chapter 992. After putting on their clothes, they split up to look for Xiao. Xinyan, don't be sad. Xiao isn't that weak. It's all that woman's fault. She's gone too far. She's been provoking big sister Xiao since yesterday. She purposely made my brother carry her and kissed her like there was no one else around. At night, she's simply degrading public decency. That woman is really too much. I wanted to say yesterday whether she came here to climb the mountain or to sleep. If she wants to sleep, she should go home. Why did she come here to annoy us? Poor Xiao. Several women who were on good terms with Guan Ziao started to accuse Ning Shi one after another, putting all the blame on Ning Shi. It was normal for a couple to show off their love. What was wrong with that? If it was indecent, then he and his wife were even more indecent. Zhao Haisheng and his wife, Ling Fei, wanted to say something, but the people on the other side were friends with Guan Ziao, so they couldn't interrupt. They could only shake their heads and continue looking for people. As the sky got brighter, time went by. Everyone had split up, but they still couldn't find Ziao. Their faces became more and more solemn. Ningxi didn't find anything either. She scratched her head and said, "Lu Tingxiao, let's split up. It'll be faster. If something happened to Guan Ziao, it would be very troublesome. Especially Lu Tingxiao. Even if it had nothing to do with them, they would definitely be blamed for it." It was not that she did not hear the whispers of those people just now. The terrain is complicated. Follow me. Lu Tingxiao frowned. Ningxi was speechless when she saw him looking like he wanted to tie her to his belt. "I'm an adult. How can I get lost? Stop talking. Hurry up and find her," Lu Tingxiao said helplessly. "Call me if you need anything. Slow down. Don't go to the side. I know. Sister Ziao. Sister Ziao. Where are you? Can you answer me if you hear me? Sister Ziao." Lu Xinyan is shouting at the top of a cliff. She walks to the corner and suddenly meets Ningxi on the narrow road. Seeing Ningxi, Lu Xinyan's face changed. "Vixen, Ziyao Jejie was angered by you and disappeared. Are you happy now? Are you satisfied? How can your heart be so vicious?" Ningxi raised her eyebrows. "I hope you can still have such a sense of justice in the future when you and your boyfriend are involved by a third party and the third party disappears because your boyfriend refuses her." "You." Lu Xinyan was furious. "What do you mean by a third party? You are the third party. The third party between Sister Ziao and my brother. Does Miss Lu really understand the meaning of the word third party? When I dated your brother, I was single, and so was he. May I ask how you came to the conclusion that I'm the mistress?" Biting her lips, Lu Xinyan retorted, "Big Sister Ziao and my brother are childhood friends, and they've known each other since young." Ningxi nodded. "So, your brother told you that he likes Guan Ziao and wants to marry her?" He didn't tell me, but my brother definitely likes Sister Ziao. He hasn't found a girlfriend all these years because he's waiting for Sister Ziao." Lu Xinyan's tone was very certain. Chapter 993. Looking at the stubborn and naive girl in front of her, Ningxi didn't want to say more. But thinking that she was Lu Tingxiao's cousin, she finally said, "This girl, you claim to be a righteous messenger who fights for injustice, but have you ever thought that Lu Tingxiao is your real family? Have you ever asked your brother's true thoughts? Did he really like Guan Ziao? Did you and Guan Ziao really have a solemn pledge of undying love as you imagined? Just based on an outsider's words and hearsay, you questioned your brother's choice again and again and destroyed his relationship with his girlfriend. Do you really think you have no problem at all?" Ningxi said so much, but Lu Xinyan found that she couldn't say a word to refute. Yes, because she admired Guan Ziao's ability, excellence, and intelligence, she had always regarded her as an idol and stood by her side in everything. As for her cousin, she had never tried to understand him, but just regarded him as a heartless man. Thinking about it carefully, when she chatted with Guan Ziao, she often heard interesting stories about her and her cousin when they were young, so she subconsciously thought that they should be a couple and that they liked each other. But what was the truth? Guan Ziao never gave her a definite answer. And there was one thing that Ningxi was right about. When Ningxi and her cousin were dating, they were both single. Who was the third party? For a moment, Lu Xinyan was confused. But even so, she still hated this woman in front of her. Even if you are not the third party, you can use my brother's power to annoy others. Do you know how sad Sister Ziao is? You have done something to hurt others, and Sister Ziao is still missing, but you still don't feel guilty at all. How can you be so evil? Lu Xinyan was angrily accusing Ningxi. For some reason, Ningxi's face suddenly changed and she pounced on her like a bolt of lightning. However, Lu Xinyan, who was touched by Ningxi, pushed her away as if she had been touched by something disgusting. "What are you doing? Don't touch me." Ningxi didn't expect that Lu Xinyan would suddenly push her. Although she pulled Lu Xinyan to a safe place behind her, she was pushed to the place where the landslide happened. Before she could react, her body tilted and she rolled down the cliff. Lu Xinyan stared blankly at the bottomless cliff. She watched as Ningxi's figure became smaller and soon disappeared. A few seconds later, she let out an extremely terrified scream. Xin Yang. What happened? What happened? What happened? A few people nearby were attracted by Lu Xinyan's scream. Ningxi! Ningxi fell down. Save them. Hurry up and save him. Lu Xinyan cried. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone's expression changed. What did you say? How did Ningxi fall? What's going on? Explain yourself. Mo Lingtian asked with a solemn expression. Brother Tian, what to do, what to do? Ningxi fell. I saw her fall with my own eyes. The place I was standing on suddenly collapsed. She fell in to save me. Save her. Go and save her. Brother Tian. Find someone to save her. Chapter 994. At this point, Lu Xinyan couldn't bear it anymore. She sat on the ground and burst into tears. At this moment, no one was thinking about Guan Xiao anymore. Everyone was immersed in the fear of Ningxi falling off the cliff. On the edge of the cliff where Lu Xinyan was just now, there were traces of a landslide. It was obvious that Ningxi had fallen from there. How to save her? It was a bottomless abyss. Everyone knew that this wasn't the first time something like this had happened on Yuming Mountain. Every year, many people fell off the cliff. Every one of them died without a corpse. Even if they were lucky enough to be fished out, there was no chance of survival. Mo Lingtian's voice trembled slightly. The source of the waterfall is below this cliff. There are rocks in the river and the current is rapid. If someone falls, even if he is lucky enough not to hit the rocks, he won't be able to withstand the huge force of the current. If he rushes to the shore, he might be in danger. But it's too dangerous to go into the water to save him. There have been several similar cases before, but none of them succeeded. As Mo Lingtian spoke, the atmosphere became oppressive. What should we do? What should we do? How did this happen when we were just going out to climb the mountain? Ling Fei, who had been holding it in for a long time, couldn't bear it anymore. She complained, it's because someone willfully went missing. Everyone says that Guan Xiao is so talented and nice, but I can't see it at all. If she was really nice, why would she keep thinking about someone else's boyfriend? Even if she likes him, she can't do such a wicked thing, right? Who is she trying to show that she has been abandoned and betrayed? Lu Tingxiao has nothing to do with her, okay? Ling Fei's words immediately attracted a lot of support. Lu Xinyan and the other troublemakers keep saying who bullied her and made her angry. I don't understand who bullied her. Who made her angry? She kept thinking about someone else's boyfriend and made herself into a victim. How is she pitiful? I think she deserves to die of anger. Also, that Lu Xinyan is also an idiot. Now that they've joined forces to kill a perfectly fine young lady, they should be satisfied now, right? Listening to those nasty words, Lu Xinyan sat on the ground in a daze, as if she had lost her soul. She knew, she was dead, she was definitely dead this time. If anything happened to Ningxi, she was sure that her cousin would never let her off. However, what made her even more afraid and panicked was seeing a living person die in front of her, and this person was even pushed down by her. Don't talk nonsense. Even if you don't have a solution, you have to think of one. If Lu Tingxiao finds out about this, all of us will be in trouble. Someone urged. We have to inform Lu Tingxiao about this. Inform? Which one of you is going to inform them? There was another dead silence in the air. Who would dare to tell Lu Tingxiao? Are you tired of living? Let me say it. Mo Lingtian clenched his teeth and took out his mobile phone with shaking hands. If he hadn't forced Lu Tingxiao to come over last night, Ningxi wouldn't have gotten into trouble. Just as Mo Lingtian was about to make the call, a girl suddenly screamed from the crowd, "Ah, honey. What happened? What happened?" Zhao Haisheng hastily looked at Ling Fei. Ling Fei trembled with fear as she looked at the edge of the cliff that was 2 to 3 meters away from her. Hand. 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 There's a human hand. Hand. Where is there a hand? Everyone looked in the direction of Ling Fei's finger. Sure enough, they saw a white hand, a woman's hand. What? What is that? What the hell is that? Oh my God. Did Ningxi turn into a ghost and come to kill us? Chapter 995. Ghost. Girls screamed one after another. Lu Xinyan's face turned pale and she almost fainted. It was a mess. What the fuck? Ghost my ass. Just then, another hand appeared at the edge of the cliff. Then, with a swoosh, a dark shadow flipped up from below and landed on the flat ground in front of them. What? What is this? What climbed up? Oh my god. It's Ningxi. It seems to be Ningxi. Damn it. What the hell? What did they see? Ningxi. It's really Ningxi. What the hell is going on? Don't tell them that she climbed up by herself. At this moment, Ningxi's hair was messy. Her white sportswear was so dirty that its original color couldn't be seen. Her fingers were full of mud and moss. She was bending over and panting. When she climbed up, she asked them nervously, "Hey, you didn't tell Lu Tingxiao, did you?" Looking at the scene in front of them, everyone looked as if they had seen a ghost. Lu Xinyan forgot to cry and stood there in a daze. Mo Lingtian fell to the ground, looking as if his worldview had been shattered. "Hey, I asked you a question. Why are you all in a daze?" Ningxi urged. "No. We didn't have time to tell him," Mo Lingtian answered in a daze. "Good. Don't let him know about this, you hear?" Ningxi breathed a sigh of relief and sat down on the ground. Damn it. She was crazy. The first thing she said when she climbed up was not "fortunately, I'm not dead or crying." Instead, she asked them not to tell Lu Tingxiao. Are you kidding me? Is Lu Tingxiao more terrible than falling off a cliff? Mo Lingtian almost collapsed. How did you get up? Ningxi said, "Of course, I climbed up." Mo Lingtian said, "Climbed? How did you climb up?" Ningxi said, "With my hands." Mo Lingtian swallowed hard. Little rabbit. No. Heroine. What's the structure of your body? Why didn't you die? Ningxi wiped the sweat on her forehead and rolled her eyes at Mo Lingtian. Haven't you heard of the law of not dying after jumping off a cliff? The corner of Mo Lingtian's mouth twitched. I've heard of it, but this is the first time I've heard of someone climbing up with their bare hands, okay? You beast. The other people on the side recovered from the fear and shock and began to ask Ningxi questions one after another. What's going on? Xiaoxi, did you really climb up by yourself? It's amazing. This doesn't make sense. Could it be that you know Qinggong? The last time you were at the shooting range, I already felt that you were not a mortal. Don't tell me you have superpowers. I told you that Master Xiao has a unique aesthetic. Miss Ning is definitely not a normal person. Fuck. You're not normal. Hearing their words getting more and more ridiculous, Ningxi was speechless. You think too much. I'm just a mortal and I don't know lightness skill. Besides, I didn't fall down. If I really fell down, how could I climb up? Unless I have wings. What's going on? Heroine, don't keep us in suspense. Hurry up and tell us. Zhao Haisheng asked. The others also nodded and stared at Ningxi as if she was the most popular storyteller in an ancient tea house. Chapter 996. Ningxi took a breath and explained simply, "At that time when I couldn't control my body, I tried my best to roll down. The bushes cushioned me and the cliff was not completely vertical, it had an arc of about 70 degrees. So at that time, I tried my best to slide down the cliff wall. Fortunately, after sliding for a while, I finally stepped on a protruding stone. Unfortunately, I was stuck in the middle of nowhere. Even if I called for help, you guys couldn't hear me. My phone also fell down, so I had to climb up by myself. I'm exhausted. Yesterday, I really shouldn't have been lazy and let Lu Tingxiao carry me. Retribution came too fast." Listening to Ningxi's words, everyone was even more speechless. What the hell, when she fell down the cliff, she actually cared about the angle and posture of falling down the cliff. Even more perverted, alright? She really wasn't a normal person. Can't you just stay here and wait for us to save you? What if you didn't climb properly and really fell down? Mo Lingtian said anxiously. When Ningxi heard that, she didn't speak. She just glanced at Lu Xinyan's direction. What if after she fell down, Lu Xinyan chose to hide it from everyone? It wasn't that her heart was dark, but she had to consider such a possibility. After all, Lu Xinyan didn't get along with her. In that situation, if Lu Xinyan didn't say anything, she wouldn't even know how she died. In addition, she didn't know when the stone under her feet would collapse, so she had to hurry up and climb up by herself. She wouldn't put her life in the hands of others. Lu Xinyan was too ashamed to show her face under Ningxi's gaze. Her lips trembled and she couldn't say a word. At that moment, because of panic and fear of bearing the consequences, she really thought of not telling anyone or saying that Ningxi fell down by herself. All right. I've asked what I wanted to ask and you guys know what you should know. Don't crowd around here. If Lu Tingxiao finds out, I'm dead. I have to hurry back to change clothes and destroy the evidence. By everyone. Ningxi climbed up. Seeing that she didn't mention a word about saving Lu Xinyan and even wanted to hide it from Lu Tingxiao, everyone looked at each other and were all stunned. Hey, wait, Miss Ning, don't move. I don't know if you're injured, you should go to the hospital for a checkup. That's right. We have to check it just in case. Besides, it's not good to hide such a big thing from Brother Xiao, right? Just as everyone stopped Ningxi and tried to persuade her, a man's cold voice came from behind. What are you doing? Hearing this, Ningxi's whole body trembled. In her panic, she almost tore off a piece of clothing from someone's body to wear. However, Lu Tingxiao's eyes were as sharp as an eagle's. He had accurately spotted Ningxi hiding in the crowd and walked straight towards her. What's going on? Ningxi scratched her head and pretended to be calm. I fell. Just a fall and you're in such a state. Why don't you throw it again for me to see? Lu Tingxiao's eyes sweep over Ningxi's dirty body like X-rays, as well as the collapsed cliff not far behind her, including Lu Xinyan's guilty expression. His face becomes more and more ugly. Fall again. This isn't too good. The great demon king is so cruel. Sob sob sob. Chapter 997. I was wrong. Ningxi decided to admit her mistake first. At this time, the others couldn't stand it anymore. Brother Xiao, don't be so mean to Miss Ning. Thanks to her, she saved Xin Yang and almost fell off the cliff. That's right. Miss Ning must be frightened. You should comfort her. Everyone began to speak for Ningxi. Lu Tingxiao's face was as stormy as a storm. Almost fell off the cliff. He had only been separated from her for less than 5 minutes. He was wrong, really. He shouldn't have let her out of his sight even for 5 seconds, let alone 5 minutes. When Ningxi was out of danger, everyone finally found that there was a person behind Lu Tingxiao. It was Guan Xiao. Xiao, where have you been? Do you know that we are all worried about you? You disappeared without saying a word and couldn't get through to your phone. We have been looking for you all morning and Xin Yang was almost in danger. Xiao, you are really irresponsible this time. Guan Xiao didn't expect to see such a scene when she came here. Everyone was speaking for Ningxi and everyone was blaming her. She forced herself to look calm and sincerely apologized to everyone. I'm sorry, I was just in a bad mood and my phone ran out of battery. I'm really sorry for making you worry about me. However, looking at Guan Xiao's appearance, no one sympathized with her. Instead, many people showed a look of disgust. Even those friends who had been speaking for her just now stopped talking. Some of the more astute ones couldn't help but wonder why Lu Tingxiao was the one who found her when all of them had searched everywhere but couldn't find her. Was it really a coincidence or intentional? At first, they might have some sympathy for her, but now when they thought of the thrill just now, they all felt unfair for Ningxi. One always had a crush on someone else's boyfriend, and even made herself the victim. She took advantage of her friend's care to help her against Ningxi, and then went missing regardless of all her friend's concerns. The other one instinctively saved a person who always went against her in an emergency. She fell off the cliff, but she bravely climbed up by herself. Until now, everyone finally understood Ningxi. She was not really a weak little rabbit, but she would only show that side of her in front of Lu Tingxiao. Just like how Lu Tingxiao would only show his gentle side when he was with her. After Ningxi climbed up, she didn't mention that Lu Xinyan had pushed her. Lu Xinyan didn't dare to say a word because of her guilty conscience, let alone help Guan Ziao. If Guan Ziao hadn't suddenly disappeared, this wouldn't have happened. Fortunately, Ningxi had pulled her just now. Otherwise, she would have died. Thinking of this, she was so scared that her whole body was trembling. Lu Tingxiao, I'm sorry. Mo Lingtian walked to Lu Tingxiao's side with a gloomy face and said in a depressed tone. Other than this sentence, he didn't know what else to say. His heart was filled with guilt and self-blame. He had almost vented his anger on him and Ningxi because of Guan Ziao's disappearance. Fortunately, Ningxi was fine. Otherwise, he would be too ashamed to see Lu Tingxiao for the rest of his life. After all, he called Lu Tingxiao to come over last night and threatened to break off their friendship. Chapter 998. Guan Ziao simply didn't know how she managed to get home. She was so upset last night that she wanted to be alone for a while. But in the end, she couldn't help but turn off her cell phone on purpose with the intention of taking revenge on Lu Tingxiao. Seeing that everyone was anxiously looking for her and blaming Ningxi in the dark, she felt a little better. She found a suitable time to show up and let Lu Tingxiao find her. She wanted to take this opportunity to have a good talk with Lu Tingxiao. Unexpectedly, such an accident happened in the end and she became the target of public criticism. From the first time she knew the existence of that woman, her perfect life became a complete mess as if it was infected by a virus. Everything was out of her control. She couldn't continue to be soft-hearted. After a sleep, she finally calmed down a little. She found her father and told him what had happened. What did you say? That Ku Mingyu is Lu Tingxiao? Hearing his daughter's words, Guan Rui was also completely surprised. Yes, Lu Tingxiao said it himself. Looking at his daughter's expression, Guan Rui could basically guess what had happened at that time. He patted her on the shoulder and said, "You've been wronged. I was too careless. It's not my fault. Who could have thought that Lu Tingxiao would do this for that woman?" Guan Rui looked terrible and then comforted Guan Ziao, "You don't have to worry too much. No matter how Lu Tingxiao gilds that woman, even if he can raise her social status, he can't raise her family background. Father, is there any secret about Ningxi's family background?" Guan Ziao asked worriedly. "After coming back from the birthday party last time, I specially checked again. She is Ning Yaohua's daughter. There is no doubt about it. This woman stayed in the countryside before she was 18 and was raised by an ignorant village woman. After she was taken back by the Ning family, she did a lot of ridiculous things. Her parents thought she was a disgrace and would rather adopt Ning Xueluo as their daughter, because she was too shameful." Guan Rui said disdainfully. "But this woman has miscalculated us time and time again. We really can't let our guard down. We have to completely destroy this woman before she grows up." However, Lu Tingxiao has spoiled her so much. Guan Rui patted his daughter's shoulder. "The more Lu Tingxiao pampers her now, the more Lu Chongshan and Yang Rui will hate her. When the time comes, we'll add some more fuel to the fire and even Lu Tingxiao won't be able to protect her. Ziao, father will not let you suffer in vain. This time, not only will I destroy her, I will also make it so that she will never be able to rise again." At the entrance of the Platinum Gold Palace. Ningxi. Lu Xinyan panted as she chased after her. "What's wrong?" Ningxi turned around and looked at the girl who had caught up. Can I talk to you in private?" Lu Xinyan glanced at Lu Tingxiao beside Ningxi. She couldn't help shivering out of fear. "Speaking alone? Sorry, I'm afraid it's a little difficult," Ningxi said as she raised her hand. Her fair wrist was tightly tied with a tie, and the other end of the tie was firmly held in Lu Tingxiao's hand. Now, she was really tied by the big devil's belt, Lu Xinyan. Chapter 999. There was a moment of awkward silence. Lu Xinyan gritted her teeth, closed her eyes, and said in front of Lu Tingxiao in one go, "Miss Ning, thank you for saving me. Also, I'm sorry. I didn't push you on purpose. I didn't know you were trying to save me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry." Lu Tingxiao had expected that things wouldn't be so simple. With Ningxi's skills, all she needed to do was pull Lu Xinyan up and she wouldn't fall. However, His expression turned cold when he heard her words. Lu Xinyan was just a young lady. How could she withstand Lu Tingxiao's pressure? Her body trembled and she looked like she was going to faint at any moment. Ningxi gestured to Lu Tingxiao to settle this herself. She touched the tie on her wrist and sneered at Lu Xinyan. Haha, sister, you almost killed me. Do you think you can just say that you didn't do it on purpose and that you're sorry? If saying sorry works, why do we need the police? Lu Xinyan bit her lip, looking embarrassed. I'm willing to bear all the consequences. Ningxi touched her chin. TSK, you're willing to bear all the consequences. You said it yourself. Yes. I said it. Do whatever you want to me. Although Lu Xinyan straightened her neck and looked like she was ready to be beaten, her trembling body clearly betrayed her master's panic. At this moment, Lu Xinyan's mind was filled with countless terrifying conjectures. This woman wouldn't let her off so easily. In despair, Lu Xinyan trembled and looked at her cousin for help. However, she only met a pair of cold eyes that were even scarier than Ningxi's. Fine. So be it. Dying in this woman's hands was better than dying in her cousin's hand. You. Say it. What do you want me to do? Lu Xinyan clenched her fists and asked. Ningxi pondered for a long while as if deliberately torturing Lu Xinyan. Then she looked at Lu Xinyan and said quietly, Call me sister-in-law. WH. What? Lu Xinyan was stunned and her face went blank. After a long while, Lu Xinyan finally realized what was going on. Could it be that Ningxi's request was this? Ningxi raised her eyebrows and urged, Didn't you say that you can do whatever you want to me? What? Do you regret it? Under the great ups and downs, Lu Xinyan's body trembled even more violently. She couldn't hold back her tears any longer. She hung her head and cried while trembling as she said, Cousin-in-law. Hearing this, Ningxi finally nodded with satisfaction. Okay, let's call it a day. Thanks to you. Today was very exciting and I had a good time. With that, Ningxi tugged at her tie and led Lu Tingxiao, who was still scowling, back. Very exciting, very happy. Lu Xinyan, Lu Tingxiao. After entering the living room, Ningxi immediately made the first move. She threw Lu Tingxiao on the sofa and kissed him. Lu Tingxiao naturally knew what she was thinking. He pinched the girl's slender waist and kissed her forcefully. After a long time, Lu Tingxiao pressed the girl's slightly swollen lips. Very exciting, very happy. Ningxi immediately put on a long face. Why haven't you forgotten? He thought that this move could temporarily resolve the crisis. Chapter 1000. Lu Tingxiao stared at her with a dark expression. What does the life and death of others have to do with you? Ningxi coughed lightly. She's your cousin after all. Isn't it inappropriate for you to say that? Even I won't allow you to do such a thing. Well, actually, the things I've done in the past were much more dangerous than this. Today's was a small case. I won't do something I'm not confident about. Lu Tingxiao's face was still expressionless even after she explained until her mouth was dry. Ningxi couldn't help but cry inwardly. She had just been the host and made Lu Xinyan apologize, and now it was her turn to be miserable. Ningxi rubbed against the man's chest again and again. Don't be angry, okay? Next time, I'll really stay by your side obediently and won't run away. Lu Tingxiao didn't believe a single word of it. Ningxi felt that her words didn't seem to be credible. She mumbled, Then what do I have to do to make you not be angry? Lu Tingxiao looked at her darkly when he heard that, but he didn't say anything. Ningxi's eyes lit up. She suddenly had an idea. Don't be angry, okay? Hubby. Lu Tingxiao, you win. Half a month had passed since the incident last time. Because of this, Ningxi's life was greatly affected. The worst part was that the great demon king was bombarding her with safety education, and the other thing was that there was almost no space left in her apartment. There were all kinds of gift boxes, expensive clothes, cosmetics, and even weird things like nunchucks, flexible swords, knives, and guns. The gift boxes and tonics were sent by Mo Lingtian and Guan Ziao. The clothes and cosmetics were sent by Lu Xinyan. As for the nunchucks, flexible swords, knives, and guns, they were sent by Shi Xiao and Xiongji. She could at least understand the reason for the first few people, but Xiao and Xiongji really confused her. Why did these two people come to please her out of nowhere? Ding dong, the doorbell rang. Ningxi opened the door and found Xiao and Xiongji at the door again. The two tall and strong men were holding sausages in one hand and smoked goose in the other. Lady boss, this is a specialty of our hometown. Try it. Xiao's tone was attentive and careful, calling her lady boss. Compared to his previous arrogant attitude, he was like a completely different person. Xiongji chimed in from the side, Lady boss, try it. If you like it, we'll bring more for you next time. Ningxi sighed and leaned against the door. You too, just say it. Are you still a man if you beat around the bush and beat around the bush? Xiao and Xiongji looked at each other, thinking that it was time to be straightforward. So, Xiao said, Lady boss, can you let us brothers protect you? Ningxi raised her eyebrows. Protect me? Are you sure? Recalling the lady boss's valiance, Xiao silently wiped the sweat off his forehead. Lady boss, I know that our spear techniques can't be compared to yours, but in terms of martial arts, even if we can't be considered the best, we can still be considered first class. My scenes are done, Ningxi said. Xiao hurriedly said, that's right. It was because they had finished filming. Lady boss, when you become popular, you'll be surrounded by fans and reporters when you go out. You'll definitely need bodyguards. When that time comes, can you ask boss to use us? The corner of Ningxi's mouth twitched. When did these guys become so good at flattering? Then we'll talk about it when I become popular. Ningxi said casually. This meant that she had a chance. Xiao and Xiongji looked at each other and were instantly excited. They said in unison, Lady boss, you'll definitely become popular. Ningxi, thank you for having so much confidence in me. Chapter 1001. In Lin Jiji's office at Shengshe Entertainment. Congratulations on finishing the scene. Thank you for your hard work. Not at all. This is probably the happiest show I've ever acted in, Ningxi said sincerely, her face full of nostalgia. Alas, I was acting with the little devil after all. Of course I shouldn't be too happy. Lin Jiji looked at her, but there was a trace of worry between her brows. Ningxi sensed it and asked hurriedly, what's wrong, Sister Jiji? Lin Jiji thought for a moment and said, Ningxi, what's going on between you and Ku Mingyu? Ningxi blinked. She looked calm, but her heart was in turmoil. Holy shit. Could it be that Sister Jiji found out? Ah. Sister Jiji, why do you ask? Ningxi said cautiously. I just feel that there's something wrong between you two. Do you like Ku Mingyu? Lin Jiji asked tentatively. When Ningxi was filming, Lin Jiji often went to accompany her, so it was inevitable that she found something fishy. Of course she didn't have any concrete evidence, otherwise she wouldn't have spoken in this tone. But as a woman, she could tell that there was something wrong with the way Ningxi looked at Ku Mingyu. Ningxi patted her chest, thinking that it was a good thing that Jiji hadn't found out anything, so she said casually, I just have a good impression of her. I like those who look frigid and abstinent. I have an urge to flirt with them. Judging from Ningxi's tone, she didn't seem to have anything to do with Ku Mingyu. Lin Jiji was a little relieved and gave her a helpless look. You'd better be careful. The way you look at Ku Mingyu is sometimes too explicit. Ningxi coughed lightly. I understand. I'll be careful. This is a variety show that I've accepted for you recently. Take a look. It's at least a month or two before your show is released, so variety shows are the best time for you. Otherwise, you'll soon be forgotten by the audience without exposure, Lin Jiji said. Oh, let me see. Ningxi took the information that Lin Jiji handed her and flipped through it. She had only been on a few variety shows for interviews before, and had no experience in anything else. As soon as she flipped to the first page, Ningxi's interest was piqued when she saw the name of the show. Baby Meng. Just looking at the name, it looks quite cute. Lin Jiji gave her a brief introduction. It's a parent-child outdoor reality show. The content of the show is about a celebrity who is experiencing the role of a mother for the first time, and a cute kid who doesn't know each other, forming a mother-son team or mother-daughter team. The focus of the show is to show the different side of the young idol after taking off the halo of a celebrity. Ningxi nodded. Oh, that's it. I know. This type of program was quite popular some time ago. Previously, it was the dad version. Now, there's a mom version. The television station is getting better and better at playing games. This time, the director of the TV station personally called to invite you to be a special guest for an episode. Lin Jiji said. Wow. The director thinks so highly of me. Ningxi was very happy. Lin Jiji, because you seem to be the least qualified mother. Ningxi was speechless. What the fuck? How am I not a good mother? Because of your image, Lin Jiji said. Ningxi was instantly choked. She said angrily, this is discrimination. The most important thing about variety shows was conflict. Only when there was conflict would there be something interesting to watch. Choosing a gorgeous, young, and beautiful female celebrity who did not know how to take care of a child would make the audience want to see how she would behave. Chapter 1002. Ningxi and Lin Jiji discussed the details in detail and decided to go to the filming of Baby Meng next week. After returning home, Ningxi changed into men's clothes and called Zhuangku. Zhuangku had helped her so much without saying a word. She still owed her a big meal. Now she finally had time to treat her. In order to make her happy, she deliberately changed into men's clothes. Hello, hello, Xiaoxi. The voice on the other end of the phone sounded hoarse and weak. Ningxi immediately frowned. What's wrong with your voice? Are you sick? I'm fine. I just have a cold and a fever. Why do you have a fever? Have you seen a doctor? Have you taken your medicine? Yes, I've taken my medicine. Don't worry, I'll be fine after a nap. What's the matter? Nothing, I just want to treat you to a meal, but you can have it anytime. Your health is more important. You should rest at home first. Oh, okay. Zhuangku sounded a little regretful. Ningxi finally finished her work and asked her to have a meal together, but she got sick. Ningxi naturally heard Zhuangku's disappointment and chuckled, I'll go to your house tomorrow to see you. Really? Zhuangku immediately cheered up. Don't you need to film? It's already finished, so I'm quite free recently. Do you want to eat anything? I'll make it for you. Ningxi asked. There's no taste in my mouth. I have no appetite. I don't know what I want to eat. Then I'll do as I see fit. Just wait and eat. Okay. After hanging up the phone, Ningxi saw that she had changed her clothes. It would be a pity if she didn't go out, so she asked Tang Lang out for a drink. She also wanted to inquire about information from them. Originally, when she learned that Yunshan and the others had returned to China, she had been a little anxious. As a result, after waiting for so many days, there was no movement at all, which made her even more anxious. She wondered if that guy was holding back some big move, right? Second senior brother, come out for a drink. It's the 8th bar from last time. It's my treat. Brat, you still want to lie to me. Do you think I'm stupid? I'll be fooled this time. I won't go even if you beat me to death. I won't go even if there's a room full of beautiful girls. Tang Lang's roar that came from the depths of his soul came from the other end of the phone. Ningxi was speechless as she listened to the excited voice on the other end of the phone. Calm down, okay? This time, I really just wanted to have a drink and chat with you. Liar. I'm not lying. Besides, eldest senior brother had already beaten you up once before. How could he beat you up again? Are you asking for a beating? Yes. Ningxi and Tang Lang bickered for a long time before the other party finally popped his head out. The most exaggerated thing was that this guy was actually wearing his little security guard uniform. Damn. Why are you dressed like this? It's easy for me to cover. Tang Lang was still looking around, making sure that Ningxi was the only one who wasn't ambushed before sitting down. Look at you, you good for nothing. Ningxi had a look of disdain on her face. Tang Lang immediately replied with disdain, haha, you still have the nerve to say that about me. Who was the one who betrayed me without hesitation under Tang Yi's tyranny? Ningxi coughed lightly. All right, let's not talk about this anymore. Have you been in contact with eldest senior brother recently? Before I can beat him, do I dare to contact him? Tang Lang said snappily. All right. This drink was for nothing. I wanted to ask you about some news. Ning, she sighed. Tang Lang took a sip of wine and said faintly, news. I really have one here. Chapter 1003. What? What news? Ning, she immediately asked. Although I didn't contact Tang Yi, I met with your third senior sister. She asked me to remind you to be careful. Feng Jin might be up to something big soon, Tang Lang said. Hearing that, Ning, she exploded. Holy shit. Since third senior sister asked you to remind me, why didn't you tell me earlier? If I didn't ask you, you wouldn't have told me, right? Don't be so petty to take revenge. Tang Lang rolled his eyes at her. Revenge my ass. It was Feng Jin who did it. Do you think being careful will work? You might as well not know anything and continue to be carefree and carefree. Besides, you have someone backing you up. What are you afraid of? Tang Lang said the second half of the sentence sourly. All right. Ning, she couldn't refute him. But she was really curious. How would Great Advisor Feng deal with her? It would probably be very exciting. Looking at Ning Shi's rosy complexion, Tang Lang couldn't help but mutter, I say, every day, other than acting and working to earn money, you're dating and taking care of the child. I almost thought that you were possessed by something. You used to be itchy all over if you didn't seek death for more than a week. Tang Lang was referring to her love of extreme sports. It was really like a drug addiction. She would feel uncomfortable every few days if she didn't seek death. Ning, she held her chin and sighed. That's because my life was too boring. I've become numb to eating, drinking, and having fun. Naturally, I could only risk my life. As for now, what about now? After meeting my darling and little baby, my life has been very interesting every day. Of course, I don't need to seek death. Just as Ning she finished speaking, Tang Lang raised his hand and slapped himself. Who asked you to ask? Who asked you to ask? You've been abused. You don't learn. It wasn't even midnight when Ning she went to the bar. She didn't stay long before she said that she wanted to leave. Tang Lang muttered in dissatisfaction as he followed her out of the bar. Just as Ning she was about to bid farewell to Tang Lang, she suddenly saw a group of teenagers dressed in heavy metal clothing walking towards them from the corner of her eyes. The young man in the lead was wearing a pair of Harlan pants and a colorful jacket. He was hugging a hot girl in his arms, looking very pleased with himself. When Ning she saw that boy, she frowned and her face darkened. Zhuang Rongguang, damn it. Isn't there an access control system? What time is it? Why is this brat still outside? Zhuang Ku's illness was very serious. It was most likely because of this brat. Zhuang Rongguang answered a call while walking, and then hung up with an extremely impatient look. Then he turned off his phone and continued to talk to the people around him while hugging the beauty in his arms. Brothers, let's continue in another place. Tonight, I won't go home until I'm drunk. My treat. Oh oh oh. The crowd cheered. Photon, where did you get the money? Wasn't your card blocked by your family? I tricked my sister. Pooh, I took some from my sister. Your sister treats you so well. What's so good about it? I'm annoyed to death by her every day. Tang Lang saw that Ning she was suddenly staring at a hot girl in a daze. He couldn't help but twitch his mouth. Old habits again. Why can't you move when you see a good-looking girl? Is she that good-looking? Ning she rolled up her sleeves. Look. I'm going to fucking rob you. Chapter 1004. As soon as he said that, Tang Lang was dumbfounded. Then, he saw Ning she stride towards the group of youths, and without saying a word, he grabbed the woman's hand in Zhuang Rongguang's arms and pulled her into his arms. The woman in his arms was suddenly pulled away, and Zhuang Rongguang suddenly became furious. Fuck. Where did this lunatic come from? What are you doing? The woman who was pulled over by Ning she was about to curse, but when she turned her head, she was stunned. The man under the moonlight had a breathtaking face, and between his brows was arrogant and egotistical. That pair of cold eyes seemed to be able to suck people's souls. So handsome. What a handsome brother. Ningxi hugged the person, and said expressionlessly, I've taken a fancy to this girl. This tone was called arrogant. The beauty who was being hugged stared at Ningxi with an intoxicated expression. It seemed that not only did she not have the intention to struggle, she almost took the initiative to give herself to him. Ningxi's arrogant tone and the beauty's attitude made Zhuang Rongguang explode. Fuck. Stinking brat. You're fucking courting death. Not only Zhuang Rongguang, but the others beside him were also furious. Where did this brat come from? He's crazy. Did he drink too much? Who cares? Beat him to death. Brothers, attack. 10 minutes later, more than a dozen young men were lying on the ground in a disorderly manner. Each and every one of them was wailing like pigs being slaughtered. This was simply a disgrace. There were so many of them, but they couldn't even beat this brat. Not only that, they couldn't even touch a single hair of hers. This was really a great humiliation, especially Zhuang Rongguang. He was hit in the face, and before the wounds on his face recovered, he wouldn't be able to go out for at least 10 days to half a month. Tang Lang, who was behind him, watched this scene with his eyes wide open, dumbfounded. He was wrong. He was really wrong. Only a crazy person would think that this brat had turned over a new leaf. He was still fucking unrestrained. Zhuang Rongguang covered his face that looked like a pig's head. Stinking brat, which path are you from? Tell me your name. You actually dare to touch me and steal my woman. You're fucking dead. Do you know who I am? Ningxi squatted down in front of the arrogant Zhuang Rongguang and said coldly, Zhuang Rongguang, that idiot from the Zhuang family is useless. You're the one I'm hitting. You're the one I'm robbing. Moreover, every time I see you, I'll beat you up. Every time I see you, I'll beat you up. Zhuang Rongguang inexplicably felt that this tone was somewhat familiar, but he couldn't recall where he had heard it before. Not only that, but this routine of snatching a woman and then beating someone up was also inexplicably familiar. Zhuang Rongguang was dizzy from the beating and couldn't think too much. He just stared angrily at the man in front of him. Bastard. Who are you calling an idiot? Who the hell are you? Could it be an enemy? But he didn't even know this person. This kid was so devilishly handsome. If it was someone he knew, there was no way he wouldn't be able to remember. Ningxi stood up and looked down at him. You'll know soon. Sigh. Handsome brother, wait for me. How could you forget about me? That hot girl saw that Ningxi was about to leave and hurriedly chased after her. Ah. Ningxi then remembered that there was such a thing. She casually pushed the girl towards Tang Lang, who was behind her. Single dog, I'll give her to you. Then she swaggered off. That girl was so angry that she stomped her feet. When she saw that Tang Lang was not bad looking, her eyes lit up. However, after seeing Ningxi like this, she couldn't take it lying down. She hurriedly looked at Tang Lang and asked, Brother, do you know that brother's phone number? Can you give it to me? Tang Lang, 110. Chapter 1005. The next morning, Ningxi woke up early and put on the new men's clothes that she had just bought. She cooked a pot of fragrant seafood porridge and placed it in a thermos. Then, she brought it to the Zhuang family to visit the patient. At number 7 Chang'an Road, the guard was very vigilant when he saw that the visitor was a young man dressed fashionably. After calling the Zhuang family, he let Ningxi in suspiciously. When they arrived, a servant led Ningxi upstairs. Zhuang Ku'er had almost no friends, let alone the opposite sex, and he was such a handsome young man, so the servant was very curious and stole a few glances at Ningxi along the way. Miss Ning's room is here. The servant led her to Zhuang Ku'er's door. Thank you. Xiaoxi. Come in. Zhuang Ku'er's hurried voice came from the bedroom. As soon as Ningxi entered, she saw Zhuang Ku'er running around in circles. She couldn't help but ask, Ku'er, what are you doing? I didn't expect you to come so early. I haven't had time to put on makeup and change clothes. Zhuang Ku'er looked anxious. Ningxi helplessly helped her lie back on the bed. My dear miss, you're beautiful enough. Brother Shi, you're wearing men's clothes today. Zhuang Ku'er noticed Ningxi's clothes, and her eyes lit up. She even changed the way she addressed him. Ningxi chuckled and teased. Yes. I promised you that you would have the opportunity to see your idol in the future, didn't I? Besides, seeing a handsome guy is good for physical and mental happiness and recovery, Ningxi said and opened the thermos she brought. I came early to bring you breakfast. I guess you don't have an appetite, so I made you seafood porridge. Have a taste. Thank you. Zhuangke didn't expect Ningxi to be so considerate. She was so moved that she didn't know what to do. Don't thank me. I should be the one thanking you. Ningxi was a person who would definitely take revenge for any enmity and repay kindness 1,000 times over. What she couldn't stand the most was others being nice to her. If others were really nice to her, she wouldn't hesitate to repay them with her life, let alone such a small thing. Is it delicious? Ningxi fed her mouthful by mouthful. Zhuangke had eaten more than half of the bucket and still felt unsatisfied. She said, well, it's delicious. Brother Shi, how did you make it? The porridge made at home has no taste at all, but this one smells so good. If you want to learn, I can teach you next time. Okay, Tilda old sir and Chief Zhuang are not at home today. Grandpa is in the nursing home. Father is in the army these few days. Mother is always away from home. So, I'm the only one at home. Oh, no, my brother is here too. I think he got into a fight with someone again last night. Luckily, father isn't around these 2 days. Otherwise, if he found out. Zhuangke was talking to Ningxi when the door was pushed open rudely. Outside the door, Zhuang Rongguang stood there with a pig-like face. Sis. You. Before she could finish her words, Zhuang Rongguang's pig-like face became even more distorted. He looked like he had seen a ghost. Then, he flew into a rage. He stared at Ningxi and roared, fuck. Bastard. How could it be you? Zhuangke immediately frowned. Rongguang, don't be so rude. Sis, why is this guy in our house? What's the relationship between the two of you? What's going on? Zhuang Rongguang felt like he was going crazy. It was like he was having a nightmare. Why would this guy appear in his house so early in the morning and sit on his sister's bed? Fuck. Chapter 1006. His sister's friend. What's wrong? Zhuangke was puzzled and felt that Zhuang Rongguang's reaction was strange. Zhuang Rongguang said excitedly, friend? Sister, don't be fooled by him. He's a bastard. He's the bastard who beat me up last night and snatched my girl. Look at my face, it's almost ruined. What did you say? Really? Zhuangke's face changed. Zhuang Rongguang gritted his teeth and stared at Ningxi, complaining incessantly, it's true. Sister, this guy must have a grudge against me. Not only did he steal my girl, but now he wants to hurt you. Last night, my brothers and I were fine, but he. Zhuangke held Ningxi's hand nervously. Brother Shi, did you fight with them? Are you okay? Are you hurt? Ningxi patted Zhuangke's hand and comforted her. I'm fine. Don't worry. They can't hurt me. That's good, that's good. Zhuangke patted her chest and breathed a sigh of relief. Zhuang Rongguang almost vomited blood as he watched from the side. Fuck. What's going on? Sister, are you even listening to what I'm saying? I said this guy beat me up. And stole my girl. Be quiet, I'm not deaf. I beat you up for your own good. Zhuangke said angrily. Zhuang Rongguang couldn't believe it. Sister, you've been bewitched by this brat. Zhuang Rongguang said angrily and looked at Ningxi. Bastard, what kind of drug did you give my sister? I'll kill you. Zhuang Rongguang had just rushed over, but the next second, he fell to the ground with a thud. Zhuang Rongguang held his waist, feeling that he was going crazy. Why did this guy's trick of tripping him feel so familiar? Who the hell was this bastard? I'll take responsibility for what I did. Come at me if you have any problems. Don't provoke my sister. Zhuang Rongguang struggled to get up. Ningxi crossed her arms over her chest and clicked her tongue. You finally said something sensible. Cut the crap. Just tell me what you want. Zhuang Rongguang said fiercely. Damn it. Although his sister was long-winded and annoying, he was the one who doted on and protected her the most. Now, he didn't know where this stinky brat came from, but his sister actually scolded him indiscriminately because of him. This was simply intolerable. You want me to not provoke your sister? Fine. Just defeat me. Ning, she said softly. You. Zhuang Rongguang's face turned the color of a pig's liver. Last night, more than a dozen of them couldn't even touch a hair on his head. Now that he was alone, how could he defeat him? This kid was clearly humiliating him on purpose. Looking at Zhuang Rongguang's angry face, Ning, she touched her chin and said quietly, "It's a bit hard for you to fight. For your sister's sake, we can change the competition method." What kind of competition? Zhuang Rongguang asked warily. My rule is that you can pick any event you want. As long as you can beat me in one of them, you win. Ning, she said. Fuck. Stinking brat. So arrogant. Is that true? A gentleman keeps his word. Any event. Games are fine too. Zhuang Rongguang asked tentatively. He carefully thought about what he was best at. In the end, all he could think of was eating, drinking, and having fun. It seemed like the only thing he was most confident in was gaming. Although his Glory of Light account in Holy Realm was useless, it was nothing to sneak in once. Hearing this, Ning, she smiled faintly. Of course. Chapter 1007. Are you sure? Do you even know how to play games? Do you know about Holy Domain? Zhuang Rongguang looked at the man in front of him suspiciously. He felt that this guy's smile was a little strange. I happen to have an account, Ning, she replied. This kid plays Holy Domain too? Zhuang Rongguang was a little surprised. Then, Zhuang Rongguang listed a few more game names, but this guy actually knew all of them. In the end, after thinking about it, he decided to choose Holy Domain. After all, this was the game he was the best at. He had wanted to borrow a similar account from someone else. After all, not only had he been kidnapped last time, but he had also been tortured again and again. He had also lost a bet and promised to delete the game in front of the entire server. Now he had to use his main account again. It was really embarrassing. However, if this kid's equipment was good, he would be in trouble if he lost. The Glory of Light account was equipped with top-notch equipment and was ranked 10th on the PK leaderboard. He did not believe that this bastard's account could be better than his. Damn it, forget it. It's more important to get him away from his sister. Otherwise, if this guy became his brother-in-law, he might as well kill himself. Thinking of this, Zhuang Rongguang immediately said, Holy Domain then. Let's PK. 1 round to decide the winner. What do you think? Ning, she said, sure, I'm fine with anything. Thus, the two of them entered Zhuang Rongguang's room. Zhuang Ku-er was worried and followed them. Zhuang Rongguang's room was a typical boy's room. Don't say that I'm bullying you. I have 2 computers with the same configuration. You can pick one. Sure. Ning, she randomly picked one and the two of them sat down. After sitting down, Zhuang Rongguang logged into the game. Ning, she was not in a hurry. She sat there and slowly opened the login interface. She even admired the newly updated login interface for a while. As soon as Zhuang Rongguang logged in, many of his friends ran over to ask him why he was back. Zhuang Rongguang impatiently replied, it's not me. As Zhuang Rongguang had not logged in since the last time he logged in, the location where his character stayed was still near the Moon Temple when he was killed by Fengling. During the time when he wasn't online, this place had become a famous scenic spot. Many players came over for sightseeing and gossiped about God Fengling's style of snatching a bride and bullying noobs. Therefore, as soon as Glory of Light appeared, many players discovered it and the World Channel was in an uproar. Out of sight, out of mind, Zhuang Rongguang blocked them all and looked at Ning Shi smugly. This is my account. It's not too late to regret. He did not forget to show off to Zhuang Ku-er, sister, look at my game character. Let me tell you, a full set of godly equipment. It's very valuable. Ning Shi glanced at Zhuang Rongguang's screen. Sure enough, Zhuang Rongguang logged into his main account, Glory of Light. Ning Shi's gaze made Zhuang Rongguang inexplicably unhappy. What are you looking at? Where's your account? Hurry and log in. It was too late for regrets. Otherwise, Leave my sister immediately and get out of my house. Ningxi's finger rested on the mouse. With a click, she lightly pressed the enter key and her character entered the game. With a ding-dong sound, a bright red and eye-catching announcement popped up in the World Channel. The PK Leaderboard's number 1, Lord Fengling has arrived. Then, opposite of Glory of Light, a light effect of the game character's login flashed. A man carrying a huge silver scythe on his shoulder appeared in front of him. Chapter 1008. Fengling. Why did this guy suddenly come online? Zhuang Rongguang looked at the player who suddenly appeared in front of him and was so scared that he almost threw his mouse away. The scarier thing was, an ominous thought suddenly appeared in Zhuang Rongguang's mind. He turned his neck stiffly and looked at Ningxi, who was sitting in front of the computer next door. Ningxi tilted her head and looked at him with a smile. Young man, didn't I tell you before? Delete the game, otherwise I'll kill you every time I see you. The moment she said that, Zhuang Rongguang's character in the game died under Fengling's scythe. What's going on? The next second, Zhuang Rongguang finally saw Ningxi's game ID clearly. It was Fengling. Fuck. This guy is Fengling. Zhuang Rongguang pointed at Ningxi with a trembling finger and a pained expression. He almost flipped the computer in front of him. You're Fengling. You're Fengling. You killed me that night. You ruined my wedding and stole my woman. It's me. Zhuang Rongguang was so angry that his lungs hurt when he saw Fengling's arrogant expression. He held his chest and said, Bastard. What grudge do we have against each other? You went against me in the game and you won't let me off in real life. Ningxi raised an eyebrow. I thought I made myself clear. Zhuang Rongguang. What? Ningxi, I don't like you. Zhuang Rongguang was so angry that he turned to look at Zhuang Ku'er. Sis. Look at him. This is how he treats your brother. Shameless. Do you really want to be with this kind of person? The latter did not listen to Zhuang Rongguang at all. He looked at Ningxi with admiration and gratitude. It turned out that Ningxi had used this method to help her bring Rongguang home that night. Last night, she had even helped her beat up Rongguang so that he would calm down and she would not have to worry too much. Zhuang Rongguang looked at his sister's admiring and touched eyes and almost went crazy. Are you still my sister? Brother Shi, is this your character? Zhuang Ku'er walked up to Ningxi and asked curiously. Yes. Ningxi nodded. So handsome. It looks fun. How do you play it? Zhuang Ku'er asked with interest. She had never come into contact with this kind of thing, so she was very curious. Let me show you. Ningxi clicked the mouse. All right. Then, Ningxi controlled her character and killed Zhuang Rongguang, who had just automatically revived and stood up. Zhuang Rongguang, Zhuang Ku'er's eyes lit up. Amazing. Come here, I'll teach you. Then, Ningxi gave up her seat and let Zhuang Ku'er sit there, letting her kill Zhuang Rongguang again and again. Zhuang Rongguang, I can't live like this anymore. He wanted to run away from home. Zhuang Rongguang was about to go crazy. He rushed to Zhuang Ku'er and said, Sister, you have to draw a clear line between you and this kid today, or we'll break off our sibling relationship. Anyway, he's here or he's here. Zhuang Ku'er frowned and was about to speak when Ningxi patted Zhuang Ku'er on the shoulder to tell her not to worry. Then, she looked at Zhuang Rongguang and said, I've already said that as long as you can beat me in any of your specialties, I'll meet your requirements. You can continue to choose. Chapter 1009. Continue. Zhuang Rongguang was stunned. He scratched his head and paced around the room anxiously, trying to think of a solution. His greatest strength was gaming. What else? Racing? Yes. His racing skills were also good. But this guy seemed to be good at games. It was too risky to compete with him. No, playing cards, horse riding, cockfighting, dice. Zhuang Rongguang thought of all kinds of games, but he couldn't think of anything that could win Ningxi. In the end, Zhuang Rongguang's face became more and more gloomy, because he found himself useless. Just as Zhuang Rongguang was panicking, an idea flashed through his mind. That's right. Shooting. You, if you have the guts, Compete with me in shooting. Hearing Zhuang Rongguang's words, Ningxi's expression was indescribable. Shooting? Why did you choose this? Young man, why are you so persistent on the road of seeking death? At this time, Zhuang Kuo looked at Zhuang Rongguang with surprise. My brother's shooting skills are not bad, but he didn't want to touch a gun, did he? Today, not bad. It's because he's gifted, okay? Zhuang Rongguang finally found a specialty that could defeat his opponent. He immediately cheered up and squinted at Ningxi, saying, just now you boasted that you would compete in any specialty. If you go back on your words, you will lose. Ningxi smiled. For Kuo, I will go through fire and water without hesitation. I hope you can continue to be so glib later. Zhuang Rongguang gritted his teeth and snorted, then looked at her with disdain. Also, let me make this clear to you first. I'm going to compete in professional shooting. I'm going to use real guns and knives, not the shooting games that you usually play with kids. The competition will be held in the North Shooting Range. Ningxi's eyes lit up. Okay. It was the most professional shooting range in China. Last time Zhuang Liaoyuan asked her to go there, but she didn't have time. Now she could take this opportunity to go there. Me too. Zhuang Kuo was afraid that they would make trouble, so she followed them. Strictly speaking, she was afraid that Ningxi would be at a disadvantage if her brother was too reckless, so she kept a close eye on him. You are still sick. You need more rest. Ningxi frowned. It's okay. I slept last night and feel much better now. I can go out and exercise. Well, put on more clothes. Okay. Zhuang Rongguang was furious when he saw them being intimate. He made up his mind that he would never show up in front of his sister again. Half an hour later, they arrived at the shooting range in the north. Zhuang Rongguang made a phone call, and then a young man in camouflage clothes ran over and led them in. The man took a few more glances at the three of them and left after settling them down. What the hell? Why did Chief Zhuang's son come to the shooting range today? Previously, when the bureau chief threatened him with a gun, he refused to come, crying like a ghost and howling like a wolf, refusing to touch a gun. Moreover, it wasn't just Zhuang Rongguang. Eldest young Miss Zhuang Kuo had also come. Furthermore, there was a handsome young man beside her. This combination was really strange. Following the principle of loyalty, he immediately made a call and reported this strange situation to the bureau chief. Chapter 10:10. What did you say? Rongguang came to the shooting range? On the other end of the phone, Zhuang Liaoyuan sounded surprised. Yes, and Miss Rongguang also came with a young man. The young soldier replied. I see. Go and keep an eye on them. Zhuang Liaoyuan was obviously afraid that his son would make trouble for them again. Yes, sir. Chief Zhuang's daughter and son came to the shooting range together, and the other one seemed to be his son-in-law. This news soon spread throughout the shooting range. Many curious shooting enthusiasts, especially Zhuang Liaoyuan's subordinates, ran to the number 1 shooting range where Zhuang Rongguang and Ningxi were. Zhuang Liaoyuan came quickly. The crowd made way for him and saluted. Hello, Chief. He looked over and saw 2 familiar figures in front of him. One was Rongguang, the other was Kuo, and the other was a strange young man. Shit. Why is the old man here? Zhuang Rongguang cursed in a low voice, but he had to shoot the arrow. Whatever, he had to beat this guy first. Seeing Zhuang Liaoyuan, Zhuang Kuo hurried to greet him. Dad, you are here. Yes, what's going on? Zhuang Liaoyuan looked at Zhuang Rongguang and another young man who were testing guns. Zhuang Kuo pulled Zhuang Liaoyuan aside and explained to him, it's a bit complicated. Let me explain it to you briefly. The man next to Rongguang is actually Xiaoxi. You know she's a star, so she dresses like this for convenience. What? That's Ningxi? Zhuang Liaoyuan was surprised. He couldn't help but look at her a few more times. He found that this girl looked good in men's clothes, especially when she was holding a gun. She looked very heroic. Last time she was wearing a maid's uniform, and this time she was wearing men's clothes. She looked like a natural actress. Then what about Rongguang? Why is he with Xiaoxi? Zhuang Liaoyuan asked again. Zhuang Kuo sighed and explained hesitantly, the reason is that Rongguang sneaked home late to play games and went to bars several times. I accidentally mentioned this to Xiaoxi. Xiaoxi felt it was unfair for me, so she punished him a little. Oh? How did Xiaoxi do it? Zhuang Liaoyuan asked with interest. She. I think she killed Rongguang in the game and forced him to delete the game. Then, she beat him up last night, all on his face. Rongguang is very prideful, so I'm afraid he won't be able to go out and play for a few days. Zhuang Kuo answered nervously. That's right. Zhuang Liaoyuan nodded. Zhuang Kuo was relieved to hear this. She thought her father would be angry with Xiaoxi. Fortunately, her father thought the same as her. So, they became enemies. This morning, when Xiaoxi came to see me, she bumped into Rongguang, and then they quarreled. Rongguang misunderstood the relationship between me and Xiaoxi. He thought that Xiaoxi deliberately approached me to take revenge on him. Just tell Xiaoxi to leave me or something. Xiaoxi will say that as long as he has any one of his specialties that can defeat her, she won't provoke me again. So Glory chose to shoot. At this point, Zhuang Liaoyuan finally understood what had happened. At the same time, his feelings were somewhat indescribable. Chapter 10-11. Actually, Zhuang Rongguang's talent was not bad, but this kid was not willing to suffer. He was afraid that Zhuang Rongguang would take a fancy to his talent and grab him to train. In fact, that was exactly what he did. In the end, the kid refused to touch a gun no matter what. He tried all sorts of methods, but none of them worked. Unexpectedly, today, because of Ning Shi, he took the initiative to propose a shooting competition and picked up a gun again. Zhuang Kuo looked at the two of them with an unhappy expression and muttered, I don't want Xiaoxi to lose. If Rongguang wins, he'll be so arrogant. Zhuang Liaoyuan smiled meaningfully. That kid is unlucky this time. But it's just as well. I should teach him a lesson. Otherwise, I don't know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. When Zhuang Kuo heard this, she was surprised and puzzled. What did her father mean? On the other side, Zhuang Rongguang and Ning Shi had already tested their guns. Both of them didn't wear goggles and noise-cancelling headphones. Zhuang Rongguang didn't think it was cool to wear those things. Ning Shi had long been used to actual combat, and wearing these things would make her feel restrained. Tell me, how do you want to compete? Holding the gun in his hand, Zhuang Rongguang felt that the confidence that had been humiliated by Ning Shi so many times had finally returned to his body. Ning Shi leaned against the wall. You decide. I'll keep you company. Zhuang Rongguang thought for a moment and said, all right, then everyone will shoot 10 times and compete for the final number of point. Ning Shi, sure. Then it's settled. I'll go first. Zhuang Rongguang couldn't wait to see his opponent's dumbfounded expression. Maybe after seeing it, he would directly admit defeat in shame. Ning Shi took 2 steps back, indicating that he could start at any time. Zhuang Rongguang took a deep breath, focused, raised the gun, and aimed at the target. At this moment, he felt as if the gun in his hand had fused with his will. Ever since he was young, he had a special fondness for guns. However, he hated being restrained, hated his father's control, and was afraid of suffering and tiredness. Therefore, no matter how much he liked it, he was determined not to follow his father and grandfather's wishes. Bang, a gunshot rang out. Bang, bang, gunshots rang out one after another. After 10 shots were fired, a ding sound rang out. The score counter displayed the points of each shot and the total points, 100 points. There were actually 10 of them, a total of 100 points. This score shocked everyone who was watching. Zhuang Rongguang put down the gun, turned to look at Ning Shi, and said coldly, no matter what grudge you have with me, I hope you can keep your promise and stop provoking my sister. Ning Shi didn't know whether to laugh or cry at the young man's deliberately pretentious manner. You're really amazing. I'm convinced. However, it's not my style to surrender without a fight. Even if it's for Kuo, I still have to try. Do whatever you want. Zhuang Rongguang snorted. He had hit 10 rings. In any case, this kid was going to lose for sure. In fact, this time, even he himself was very surprised that he could actually get such a high score. It seemed that he was indeed a genius. He could always burst out with astonishing strength at the critical moment. A genius. As Zhuang Rongguang spoke, He intentionally glanced in the direction of his father behind him. His intention to show off was obvious. Who asked you to keep saying that I'm a good-for-nothing? I just don't want to make a move. On the other side, Ningxi didn't shoot immediately. Instead, she walked up to Zhuang Ku'er. Ku'er, can I borrow something from you? Chapter 10-12. Ah, what? Zhuang Ku'er asked in confusion, not knowing what Ningxi wanted to borrow from her at this time. When Zhuang Ku'er went out, she changed into a white dress and tied a matching lace ribbon on her wrist. Ningxi pinched a corner of the ribbon and gently pulled it. The bow immediately untied. This. Okay. But, Xiaoxi, what do you want this for? Zhuang Ku'er was even more confused. Zhuang Liaoyuan's face changed slightly. This girl, is she going to? Zhuang Rongguang was annoyed again. Damn it. He was about to be humiliated, but he still didn't forget to run to seduce his sister. This boy was really looking for death. Under everyone's gaze, Ningxi walked to the front of the shooting range, then tied the white ribbon over his eyes to the back of his head, and then raised his hand to shoot bang bang bang. After shooting 10 times, the scoring machine quickly counted the number of rings. Top 10 rings, 100 point. Under the condition of blindfold, Zhuang Rongguang, who was ready to watch a good show, opened his mouth wide and couldn't say a word. He stood there completely as if he had been struck by lightning, unable to believe what had just happened. This boy actually, under the condition of blindfold, hit 10 ring. How could this be? This was absolutely impossible. He had only seen his father do this kind of thing since he was alive. How could this boy from nowhere do it? Who the hell was he? Zhuang Ku'er never thought that Ningxi borrowed the ribbon to blindfold her eyes. After a long time, she let out a scream of excitement. Ah, God! Brother Shi, you are so awesome. He was so handsome. Even Zhuang Liaoyuan's face changed behind her. His eagle-like eyes were full of enthusiasm and excitement. This boy really shocked him more and more. It was difficult to hit 10 rings on all fixed targets, but it was not impossible. Masters with special training could still do it. However, to hit 10 rings without sight was not something that could be achieved through simple training. It required not only extremely high talent but also extremely sensitive intuition. Many talented top-notch snipers had stagnated at a certain height because they lacked the latter, which was an erratic but exceptionally important thing. Especially in a real battle, in such a chaotic environment, the target would not be able to stand still and let you shoot. At that time, sensitivity was very important. This child. At this moment, Zhuang Zongren's voice came from behind. Zhuang Liaoyuan turned around in surprise. Dad, why are you here? I heard that Rongguang is willing to carry a gun. How could I not come? Although Zhuang Zongren said so, his gaze, which was originally focused on his grandson, had completely fallen on the young man next to Zhuang Rongguang. Liao Yuan, whose child is this? What an incredible spear technique. Are they your subordinates? Zhuang Liaoyuan smiled bitterly. If they were my subordinates, I would be smiling even in my dreams. Then who is this child? Zhuang Zongren was puzzled. Dad, you know her too. She is Ningxi, the girl who saved you by the river last time. She is wearing men's clothes today. Zhuang Liaoyuan replied. What? It was a little girl. The girl who saved me last time? Yes. Zhuang Zongren's face was full of shock and curiosity. How can a little girl be so powerful? Whose child is she? Zhuang Liaoyuan said, ours. Chapter 10-13. Zhuang Zongren snorted unhappily. I'm asking you a serious question, don't joke with me. Zhuang Liaoyuan sighed softly. Dad, I'm not joking with you. I didn't intend to tell you about this, but looking at the situation today, you'll definitely investigate this girl's background, just like I did in the past. I wanted to recruit her into the army after seeing her talent in shooting, so I investigated her. So, get to the point. Zhuang Zongren urged. There are too many people here. I'll tell you in detail when we get back. Zhuang Zongren could only suppress his impatience and look in the direction of Zhuang Rongguang and the girl. At this moment, Zhuang Rongguang was kneeling on the ground, looking like he was about to die, but he still refused to admit defeat. Bastard, don't act tough. Give me a few days, I can still blindfold the 10th ring after some practice. Ningxi squatted in front of him and said softly, then I'll wait for you to practice. If you can really do it, not only will I leave your sister, but I'll also dress up and run 3 laps around the shooting range. How about that? Dress up and run 3 laps around the shooting range. Are you serious? The dying Zhuang Rongguang suddenly regained a trace of vitality. Fuck. Let a man like him dress up in women's clothes and run 3 laps around the shooting range. Just thinking about it was exhilarating. By then, he would be able to avenge all the humiliation he suffered. Of course, your sister can testify. Ningxi looked at Zhuang Ku'er and said. Zhuang Ku'er turned her head away and covered her mouth, trying to hold back her laughter. Xiaoxi was so naughty, but so cute. Not far away, Zhuang Liaoyuan shook his head at this scene, his face full of smiles. Finally, there's someone who can take care of my little bastard. Zhuang Zhongren was still thinking about his son's words, but he couldn't figure out what our little bastard meant. Then I want you to wear a pink princess dress, and high heels, and a flower on your head, Zhuang Rongguang said maliciously. Ningxi agreed readily, no problem, I'll satisfy you. Little bastard, just you wait, I'll see you in a month. You're definitely going to wear this dress. Zhuang Rongguang roared, feeling an unprecedented power. Every cell in his body was full of vigor. He must defeat him. I must make this bastard lose all face. He had paid a heavy price. That's right, when the time came, he would record the scene of this brat wearing women's clothes. Let's see if he would dare to cause trouble for him in the future. That night, in the study of the Zhuang family. This child is Lingyu's daughter. Zhuang Liaoyuan didn't keep Zhuang Zhongren in suspense and directly told him the truth. Zhuang Zhongren was deeply hurt by what had happened to Zhuang Lingyu. He couldn't get over it for many years and there was still a gap in his heart. He didn't tell him about Ningxi's identity before because he was afraid that he would remember it. What? Lingyu's daughter? As expected, Zhuang Zhongren's expression changed. Yes. Zhuang Liaoyuan nodded. Hearing Zhuang Lingyu's name, Zhuang Zhongren fell to the ground and did not speak for a long time, as if he had fallen into some painful memory. After a long while, he slowly opened his mouth and said, but, Lingyu's child. I saw him once 2 years ago. He didn't look like this at all, Zhuang Liaoyuan sighed. The one you saw 2 years ago wasn't Xiaoxi. It's a bit complicated. Let me explain it to you slowly. Otherwise, I'm afraid your heart can't handle too many things at once. Chapter 10:14. If you don't tell me now, I won't be able to stand it, Zhuang Zhongren said anxiously. Zhuang Liaoyuan could only explain to the old man, the one you saw last time is actually not Lingyu's biological daughter, but her adopted daughter. Lingyu's daughter was swapped at the wrong place in the hospital, and she didn't find out until she was 18 years old. So, the child who saved me is Lingyu's biological daughter? Yes. I remember it was a very important occasion at that time. Why did she attend it with an adopted daughter instead of Xiaoxi? Zhuang Liaoyuan pondered. Well, after Xiaoxi was picked up, a lot of things happened. Maybe because she grew up in the countryside for the past 18 years, she was not used to the life in the city and didn't know social etiquette, so she did some inappropriate things on some occasions. It was probably because of this that Lingyu had always disliked her. Later, she sent her to study abroad. It was not until last year that the child graduated and returned to China. The child did not seem to have any intention of interacting with the Ning family. She had always been working alone, all these years. Lingyu still claims that Ning Xueluo is her biological daughter, but Ningxi is regarded as an adopted daughter from the countryside. Zhuang Zhongren covered his chest and was so angry that he almost had a heart attack. Unfilial child. That's her own flesh and blood. How could she be so cruel? Just because she lost her face, she doesn't even recognize her own daughter. It's not like you don't know Lingyu's temperament. She values her face the most, especially after marrying Ning Yaohua. It's as if she wants to fight with us to prove that she made the right choice. She can't tolerate any flaws on her body. Zhuang Zhongren waved his hand tiredly. Forget it. So many years have passed and I have long regarded her as a daughter. But, the innocent child has suffered. That child is ambitious and works hard. She has a unique vision at such a young age and has opened a fashion studio. The dress that was praised by the guests at the state banquet last time was a gift from her. Zhuang Liaoyuan comforted him. Zhuang Zhongren's face softened a bit and then he said excitedly, I was wondering why this child has such a high talent for shooting. It turns out that she is really a descendant of the Zhuang family. It's true that nephews are like uncles. But it's a pity that she doesn't join the army. Have you talked to her? Zhuang Liaoyuan knew that he was going to bring this up. He said helplessly, Dad, don't think about it. I've already talked to him. He has his own things he wants to do. What's more, some people would never agree. Recently, Ningxi spent most of her time in the studio. Because Ziyi Ling had run into some trouble. Now, Ziyi Ling's business was getting bigger and bigger. The departments were getting more and more detailed, and the number of employees was also increasing. At present, it had already formed a complete industrial chain. A tall tree attracts the wind. Seeing that Ziyi Ling was getting more and more famous, some people were naturally envious, especially history, who saw Ziyi Ling as a thorn in his side. Dai Wei had been trying to find out who the designer of Ziyi Ling was after the fashion show. However, because Gongshangze had an independent creative area and was completely separate from the company, even the staff of Ziyi Ling, except for Han Momo and Xiao Weilan, had never seen him. Chapter 10-15. Occasionally, some customers who did high-end customization had seen him in person. The news was that Ziyi Ling's mysterious designer, ZX, was a handsome young man who was even more handsome than the current young male idols. Dai Wei was slightly relieved. Just from the description, he knew that it couldn't be Gongshangze, that loser. However, even though the biggest crisis had been resolved, Ziyi Ling's rapid rise caught him off guard. He didn't even have time to defend against it. Silently, Ziyi Ling rose to fame with an unstoppable momentum, even more so than history's popularity at that time. Ziyi Ling's huge threat, Ning Shuiluo's pressure, and even worse, the design drafts he stole were getting fewer and fewer. None of the designers he hired were good. He tried to create by himself, only to find out that he had been good at social marketing all these years. His mind was blank while holding a pen. Fortunately, history currently occupied more than half of Hua Gufeng's market. Ziyi Ling would never be able to catch up to many of their regular customers. However, Ziyi Ling was like a knife hanging over his head. He definitely couldn't let it continue to grow. In order to win an award, Ning Shuiluo had accepted an artistic bitter love film. She had been filming in a village. When she heard about Ziyi Ling when she came back, she couldn't help but be furious. What's wrong with you? Didn't I tell you to keep an eye on them? Why did Ziyi Ling become like this after I left for a few days? We have connections with most of the companies and businessmen in the industry. We could have told them not to accept Ziling's offer, but who would have thought that they would target the socialite circle? That circle is not a place we have any say in. After saying so much, it's all because you're useless. If they hadn't won the Golden Top Award, there wouldn't have been so much trouble, Ning Shuiluo said irritably. She hadn't even had time to solve the matter of Ning Shi and Zhuang Kuo being intimate before the old man said that he was going to make a will. When she returned to the capital, history was full of bad news, which made her anxious. Dai Wei couldn't help but curse. Damn. She's pushing all the blame to me again. Although the Golden Top Award was his fault, what happened after that? Not only did Ziyi Ling's boss have the ability to hire Qin Shengyu, but it was said that he had poached a god in the industry. In the end, even Zhuang Kuo admired her. However, Ning Shuiluo was a completely hands-off boss. She only knew how to blame the designer all day. Designers are responsible for design, they are not omnipotent. If it weren't for those blueprints, would history be where it was today? That was what Dai Wei was thinking, but on the surface, he did not dare to say anything. Suppressing his anger, he said, Boss, this is not as serious as you think. Ziling's style is completely copying mine. No matter how popular she is now, she can't hold her ground. I've already contacted a few authoritative media outlets in the industry to build momentum. I'm sure Ziling is under a lot of pressure now. At the same time, in Ziling's studio, Ningxi looked at the recent reports about Ziling compiled by Han Momo and sneered. I knew that guy would bite back. Dai Wei has crossed the line. When are we going to expose his true colors? Han Momo said indignantly. Chapter 10:16. Ningxi touched her chin. What's the rush? That guy should be the one rushing. When we enter the international market, Dai Wei's reputation will be ruined. But we still have to solve the problem at hand. After all, it's the same person's work, and there are too many similar styles. Even the style of the materials is the same. To those who don't know the truth, it's easy to believe the media's one-sided story. Gong Shangzi, who was standing at the side, said, Boss, I've actually thought of this as well. Although my designs have changed a lot compared to the past, I've always liked Lin Fengmian, Zhong Daqian, Qi Baisha, and a few other classic painters and calligraphers. Therefore, no matter if it's the past or present works, most of them have been used as inspiration. In the end, Dai Wei took advantage of this and made a big deal out of it. So, I'm thinking that our new season's design should use elements that no one has ever used before. It's our exclusive Hua elements. If that's the case, I'm afraid we'll have to ask a master to customize the design for us, right? Ningxi couldn't help but think. But it's a bit risky to ask a contemporary calligrapher to customize it. Yes, so it must be a very famous master. Ningxi thought for a moment and said after a while, now that you mention it, I think of someone. Song Jin, Master Song. I went to his art exhibition once, and it was amazing. Unfortunately, Old Song is now living in seclusion in the mountains and can't accept any more commissions. Gong Shangzi said excitedly, Boss, you're thinking of the same thing as me. I'm thinking of Old Song. I'm his loyal fan too. Many years ago, before he retired, I spent 3 years of my savings to buy one of his paintings. Unfortunately, that painting was later lost when the landlord kicked it out. And now, you can't buy any of his new works in the market anymore. So, you mean, to ask Old Song to come out of seclusion? Ningxi asked. Although it's difficult, I want to try. Gong Shangzi nodded, his eyes filled with determination. A long time ago, I hoped that I could work with Old Song one day. It's a kind of obsession, and it's also a wish of mine, whether it succeeds or not. Then let's try. I'll go with you some other day. Is it really possible? Gong Shangzi was a little surprised. After all, he knew it was very risky this time, but he still persevered because of his obsession. Of course. The most important thing for a designer is passion. Passion. Since Ms. Song's work can make you burn, of course, I will try my best to help you. Ningxi said and turned to Qiao Weilan, Director Qiao, what do you think? Qiao Weilan thought for a while and said, although the possibility is not high, we might as well give it a try. People like Mr. Song rely on affinity. Maybe you are lucky enough to meet him. Even if you don't, we have other alternatives. All right, it's settled then. Ningxi made a decision. Then I'll have to trouble the colleagues in the PR department to deal with these messy reports. Yes, I have. Qiao Weilan nodded. Ningxi had to sigh. It was good to have a professional at home. Qiao Weilan had set up a strong public relations team early in the morning, just for this day. Chapter 10:17. If Dai Wei could slander them, they could do the same to him. Under Qiao Weilan's planning, the public opinion soon changed. Overnight, the headlines of major fashion magazines and newspapers began to occupy the headlines. Dai Wei is still upset about losing the Golden Top Award and accuses the other party of plagiarism. History's quality plummets and there are many flaws. Is Dai Wei running out of ideas? Chu Guanyang, the first Chinese designer on the Golden Top Award, supports ZX. Zi Ling publicly challenges history. I'm looking forward to the next season's new product. Moreover, Ningxi specially told them to stick to the words running out of ideas and poke at Dai Wei's sore spot. The public was easily led. Compared with before, Dai Wei's works were indeed fewer and fewer, and the quality was getting more and more uneven. Therefore, this kind of opinion was soon accepted by a large number of people. Because Ziyi Ling had directly issued a challenge, everyone's focus was on the next season's new product. History could not find any concrete evidence of Ziyi Ling's plagiarism, and was instead accused of running out of ideas, so they had no choice but to accept the challenge. The war of public opinion came to an end. At night, in the famous high-altitude revolving restaurant in the capital, Guan Xiao invited Lu Xinyan to dinner. Ever since she returned to China, Lu Xinyan had been sticking to her and playing with her every few days, but she hadn't contacted her for a long time. Guan Xiao noticed this and took the initiative to ask her out. Xinyan, did Ningxi make things difficult for you last time? I've already apologized to her in person. It's all my fault. If she still blames you, just tell her to come to me, Guan Xiao said with concern. Lu Xinyan was stunned when she recalled the situation that day, and then she quickly said, no, she wouldn't make things difficult for me even for my brother's sake. Don't worry, big sister Xiao. That's good. Guan Xiao nodded and asked casually, how's the agent you mentioned last time? What else can we do? Since Ningxi has put it that way, it's impossible, but I'm making a new plan recently. I don't know if it will succeed. Lu Xinyan sighed. Actually, there are many brands like this. Have you ever thought of changing one? Guan Xiao asked tentatively. Another restaurant? Yes, have you heard of History? This brand is also very good, and it's more effective. I helped you contact the person in charge there shouldn't be any problem. If you are willing to do it, the other party is very welcome, Guan Xiao said. Hearing this, Lu Xinyan rested her chin on her hand, looking uninterested. I've heard of it, but I still prefer Ziling's clothes, but lately, Ziling's reputation doesn't seem to be very good. That, I've also heard about it. It's completely groundless. I've seen most of the clothes from these two shops. The style is indeed very similar, but Ziling's is obviously much more sophisticated. Also, Dai Wei's designs have been giving me the feeling that he's running out of ideas. I don't think he's doing well. He was rather looking forward to Ziling's response to the new products for next season. It was very likely that there would be some new tricks. Almost every work of Ziling is a pleasant surprise. Lu Xinyan beamed with joy for a while before she slumped on the table again. Sigh. Why didn't you let me represent it? That's too much. I'll be serious this time. It's not easy for me to like something. I spent so much effort researching it. Seeing that Lu Xinyan was so insistent, Guan Xiao naturally couldn't persuade her anymore. Then the two chatted casually for a while and went home. Chapter 10:18. In the evening, the crew held a simple wrap-up party at the hotel. Because there were no investors or reporters, only the crew members, the atmosphere in the room was very relaxed. You're not the first batch of newcomers I've trained, but it's very likely that you'll be the last. I won't say anything else. Thank you for your trust in me. This is my first movie, and I'm very lucky to be working with such a good and professional team. Thank you for choosing me, and thank you for your dedication and hard work. I've been really happy during this period. Thank you, everyone. I'd like to propose a toast to everyone, especially Brother Shi. There's something I need to confess to you. Actually, I was the one who released the snake. At that time, I saw you seducing the souls of all the girls in the group, and I was really angry. Who knew? Brother Shi is really tough. I'm convinced. Qi Fang finished speaking and downed his drink. But, Brother Shi, you look better in women's clothes. Men's clothes are such a waste. Qi Fang said as he looked at Ningxi, who was dressed in women's clothes today. Nonsense. It's a waste for my brother Shi to wear women's clothes. You're just afraid that brother Shi will steal the limelight from you guys in men's clothes. Ji Yumeng was the first to refute, and the other female compatriots echoed. After 3 rounds of drinking, everyone took the opportunity to speak and toast one by one. Taking advantage of the alcohol, they said all the things that they usually kept in their hearts. They joked with each other, and the atmosphere became more harmonious. After the party ended, everyone waited for the bus at the entrance of the hotel in 2s and 3s. Most of the others left one after another, and in the end, only Ningxi, Shen Hanchen, and Ku Mingyu were left. Shun Hanchen couldn't help but look at Ningxi again. He had wanted to talk to her the whole night, but he couldn't muster up the courage. At this moment, he finally looked at her and said, "Senior, I hope we'll have the opportunity to work together in the future. Your acting is very good." "Thank you." Ningxi was aware of Shun Hanchen's subtle feelings for her, so she didn't say much. What's more, the devil was right next to her. "Young man, please don't hurt me anymore." However, Shun Hanchen obviously didn't hear her inner voice. Hearing Ningxi's words, Shun Hanchen looked a bit disappointed. He took out a business card from his pocket and handed it to her. Su Yimo of Shengshe Entertainment has become even worse after Lung Manyun left. You can't make a name for yourself there. If you need help, call this number. Shun Hanchen gave her his manager's business card. Ningxi glanced at Shun Hanchen's business card and didn't take it. "Thank you for your kindness, but I don't think I need it." Fuck. That was insane. Shun Hanchen, this fellow, was actually trying to poach her in front of her boss. Shun Hanchen immediately frowned. Why? As one of the three giants of the management company, Fengxing Media is comparable to Shengshe Entertainment. My agent is also the best gold agent in Fengxing. I've mentioned your matter to him. If you want to come over, our company can help you deal with the breach of contract. Ningxi didn't dare to look at the devil's expression. She coughed lightly and then said righteously, "I'm sorry, but Shengshe Entertainment has a very special meaning to me. It has my dreams, my hopes, and my love. It's irreplaceable, so I won't leave it." Chapter 1019. Special Meaning. Shun Hanchen was still unwilling to give up. He didn't understand why she was so attached to Shengshe Entertainment. Also, why did Ningxi sound like she was confessing to someone? Shun Hanchen was about to ask when a taxi stopped by. Ningxi was afraid that Shun Hanchen would say something shocking again, so she hurriedly got into the car. "I'm leaving now. Bye-bye." He deliberately said these words to Ningxi in front of Ku Mingyu. He wanted to prove his strength and remind Ku Mingyu that he was not worthy of Ningxi. He didn't expect that he would be rejected by Ningxi so directly in the end. Platinum Palace. Ningxi arrived first. After a while, Ku Mingyu also came back. As soon as she saw her boss, Ningxi immediately jumped up to him and asked for praise. "Hey, boss. Did I do well? I want a reward." Lu Tingxiao gazed at the girl's smiling face, put his broad palm on the back of her head, and kissed her hard. The moon was bright, the night was charming, and the breeze didn't cool the gradually warming air. Clang, there was a sudden loud noise behind the Lu Tingxiao and Ningxi turned around subconsciously. Then, the two of them saw that Lu Jingli had been standing there without them noticing. He seemed to have been holding a large pot of hot pot in his hands earlier. At this moment, everything had fallen to the ground and was a mess. His handsome face was full of cracks. At this moment, Lu Tingxiao was still Ku Mingyu, so it was obvious that Lu Jingli must have misunderstood them. "Jingli, listen to me." However, Lu Jingli covered his ears as soon as Ningxi started to explain. Cheung Yarrow began to roar, "I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. My brother is handsome, rich, mature, knowledgeable, talented, gentle, and considerate. He's one of the top 10 husbands of the century, and he even got a cute little bun for free. Not to mention all the women in the city, even I want to marry him. But you actually did such an infuriating thing. 1111, I was wrong about you." Ningxi looked at the little koi fish in front of her with a frown. "Well, brother, calm down, calm down." "How can I calm down?" With that, Lu Jingli turned to Ku Mingyu, who was standing next to Ningxi. His eyes were burning with anger. "Bastard. Even if you want to seduce my sister-in-law, don't you know who I am? You even dare to seduce my sister-in-law. Today, I'm going to beat you until you can't have sex." "Ah!" He couldn't do it. Before Lu Jingli rushed to Ku Mingyu, Ningxi hurriedly dodged and parried Lu Jingli's attack with a palm. "Lu Jingli, calm down, he is." Before Ningxi finished her words, Lu Jingli howled again with an expression of grief and indignation. "Oh, God! There was no justice in this. You're actually protecting this adulterer." Ningxi held her forehead powerlessly. She really couldn't communicate with this guy. She waved her hand and said, "Fine, fine, fine. I won't protect you, I won't protect you. You can hit me. Hit him. Go and make him impotent. Go." As Ningxi spoke, she deliberately stepped aside to make it easier for him to court death. Lu Jingli immediately got up and continued to pounce on Ku Mingyu. He really focused on his lower body. Then, oh, with a miserable wail, the little koi fish's hands were locked by the man before it could touch the corner of the man's clothes. He skillfully put his hands behind his back. Chapter 10:20. After that, the adulterer that Lu Jingli mentioned was like a roundworm in his stomach. He could always predict what he was going to do in the next second, and then easily break all of his attacks and suppress him completely. After being beaten up for the nth time, Lu Jingli finally howled, "Brother, let go, let go, let go." The way he beat him was so skillful and smooth. He was definitely his brother. Ningxi's mouth twitched and she shook her head. "I tried to stop you, but you just had to do it." Xiaobao had found out that Ku Mingyu was Lu Tingxiao through his special observation skills, and she had found out from Xiaobao's reaction and temperament. But Lu Jingli, he had found out after he was beaten up. Lu Jingli covered his wrist and kept blowing at it. "When did you stop me? Couldn't you have just told me that he was my brother?" Ningxi rolled her eyes at him. "You started howling as soon as I opened my mouth. I should have had a chance to tell you." Lu Jingli had a big heart. He quickly forgot about being beaten up by his brother and began to circle around his brother with a face full of excitement. "So natural, so realistic. Your disguise is so good. If I hadn't been smart, I would have been fooled." "Ningxi, how are you smart? You only found out after being beaten up like this." Lu Jingli's expression suddenly became serious, and his tone became much more serious. He looked at Lu Tingxiao worriedly and asked, "Big brother, what happened to you? Are you going to do something so important and urgent that you can't show your face?" Lu Tingxiao's eyes were filled with worry. Lu Tingxiao thought for a while and felt that Lu Jingli was right. "Yes." Lu Jingli was immediately angry and said unhappily, "What is it? Brother, you always hide everything from me and don't share the burden with me." Lu Tingxiao said, "I can't." Lu Jingli said, "How do you know you can't if you don't tell me?" Lu Tingxiao said, "I'm going to film with your sister-in-law." Lu Jingli was speechless for a full 10 seconds before he came back to his senses. His brother had gone through so much trouble to do something so important, urgent, and secretive. He was going to film with Ningxi? This dog food came too suddenly, like a dog tornado. Lu Jingli clutched his chest in agony. "If I die one day, it will be because of your dog food. Bastard, no wonder you've been elusive recently. I thought you were doing something, but it turns out you're in love. Fuck. You made me think that you went to save the world, so I took the initiative to work overtime to help you with so much work. I'm so tired that my little face is haggard. Uncle, do you have hot pot for supper? Can I have a meal with you?" Behind the three of them, a voice that sounded like it had just woken up sounded. The smell of the hot pot was so strong that it even drifted into his room. Therefore, Jiang Mui, who was sleeping on the bed, directly followed the smell to his room. "Eat my ass. All of them," Lu Jingli said angrily. Then, he felt that something was wrong. "Wait, kid, why are you so calm? You know, he's your uncle." Lu Jingli looked at the man whose arm was held intimately by Ningxi. "I know." Jiang Mui nodded in a daze. "Fuck. Why am I the only one who doesn't know? It was too unfair. Are you discriminating against me? But how did you know?" Lu Jingli said angrily. "You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.